I was trying to remember like the first time I ever walked into your office over there on Scottsdale and Shea, basically. Was it because of Nick was in there and then I kind of tailed in there? I think it was like during an off season, maybe COVID. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
I think it was a while ago. It was 4 or 5 years ago, but I remember you walked in because you had a disc issue and you were struggling. It was low back issue going down your leg, and it was stubborn, man. That took a while for us to fix that, but it was about 2005. I'm sorry, 5 years ago, 2000-ish.
Yeah, 2020, somewhere in there. It was actually right before I was going to Finland, because I remember I came in, I was like thinking about signing in Russia. You were asking me like, Jesus, you're thinking about going to Russia? I'm like, well, maybe for 7 figures I might consider it. Yeah. Ultimately, I ended up going to Helsinki, Finland, and that was when I had that disc issue where it was, like you said, it was going down my leg. I came in, I was like, I can't even really walk on this leg. It's numb into my foot. I don't have any real feel in it. What can you do for me? So I came in, and like a good neighbor, State Farm and Shawn Robek were there. And you got me back on a program, a regiment that actually helped a lot. And the pool workouts were actually a big thing. Remember those? I was doing those when I was over in Helsinki. I was sending you different things. But that's basically that decompression is kind of what got me back on the ice before the regular season.
Yeah, I think so. I think the work you put in, along with the tools we have, along with the manual therapy that we did.
Yep.
Buddy, you put in the work. I mean, we taught you some correctives that were highly intentional for you to actually decompress your body on your own. And I think that's what helped a ton.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you'd worked with Nick just being in Arizona, and, he's got his own personality. I got my own personality. But I think the hockey lingo is something you really came accustomed to. I think even one of those first couple of times I came into your office, you were probably thinking, who the fuck is this guy? And what is he even talking about right now? Because I do talk in my own language.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. Well, you got Nick. Nick, I saw Nick when obviously he was playing with the Coyotes, and he's like kind of shuffle stepping his way into the office. And I'm looking at him. I've told him this, so I'm happy saying this on the air. But I'm like, how are you the elite level athlete that you are with like your mechanics just from getting out of the car and walking your ass into the office? And then obviously the personality, when you compare both you two, you got Nick, who I can barely get a word out of, but I got you that comes in here and just takes over the freaking office. So like having the dichotomy of the two of you together is it's a pretty interesting relationship. But it was a privilege, obviously, to work with Nick when he was here. Love the guy, love Abby, miss those guys.
Yeah, for sure. It sucks not having the squad here, but I wanted to ask you, like, if you back it up, how long have you had the office, and did you start off like coming out of college, like this is what you wanted to do? Tell people a little bit about what Fixed Body does, and just, you've worked with a ton of high level athletes, from NHL players, NBA, NFL, and as well as just your regular Joe Schmo too. So just talk about just what Fix is and kind of just the functional therapy and different things you do outside of even just adjustments.
Yeah, it started off as Fixed Body Group, but then we changed to Fixed Medical Group so we could have an integrated medical model. Fixed Body Group was really a bunch of corrective exercise specialists and manual therapists, which it still is. But then we incorporated medical, which allowed us to do hormone optimization, wellness care, regenerative medicine, which has been fantastic. So when our manual therapists get to a certain point and we want to take it to the next level, we can bring medical in, but not Western medical, more modern medicine, where we're not dealing with pills, injections, and surgeries, but we're trying to optimize the body. So we all got to stay in our lane. And in trying to stay in your lane as a manual therapist, and you need to do medical procedures, it was nice for us to be able to bring that entity in and have those options for athletes. But, when I got started, when I was in grad school, I wanted to only work on athletes. And then I started working on athletes. I'm like, maybe I want to work with retired executives. And so it was like, it kind of shifted a bit, but I got caught up in pro sport by working with the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista with some distance runners. And that spiraled into the throwers, and that spiraled into 350-pound guys from Austria. So, for me, it spiraled once I started getting these large humans on my table. And then that's when the NFL found me, and I got some big linemen in there, linebackers. So I started to develop a reputation as being able to treat large humans. And these large humans weren't getting the care they needed. And so when they found me, we were able to give them the manual therapy, corrective exercise, internal health and wellness that they needed to kind of check all the boxes and get them the care that they were missing ultimately. And so it spiraled from there. Now I'm predominantly hockey, which I love. It's my favorite sport. So I'm privileged to be working in this industry and working with these players. So that's predominantly the athletes that I treat right now.
That's pretty cool. Shawn, when you're working, like you say you started working on, you're known for working on, or you were known for working on big body humans. Is it is it similar? I mean, how do you learn how to do that? Is it just trial and error? You work on, you get one big guy and you're like, oh, that went pretty well. He feels pretty good. Now I think I can do others. Or it's
Yeah.
probably just, is it the same as working on a slim human being? Or
Yeah. No, it's
how do you
not.
get that reputation?
It's not. It's trial and error. School of hard knocks sometimes too. I got hired, like I said, for the distance runners at Olympic Training Center. These guys are 130 pounds, right? Like, so I get hired for that, but then all of a sudden I get a couple jav guys on my table. Next thing, discus, hammer throw. And I'm like, I've never worked on a 300 pounder before. And so I'm like, I've thrown in the mix real quick. I had to learn how to adjust large humans, size of cattle, basically in like 2 weeks. And so I got lucky on a few people and I was able to release their backs where most people weren't able to. And then I just started applying like what I was doing and with like my success in one area, and then just kept building. And I developed the physics around my treatments where I was able to actually manipulate large humans, which is a unique skill set. And so from there, once one person knows about it and you got this 180 pounder able to manipulate a 340 pounder, they start talking to one another. Anybody over 300 pounds knows their other buddy that's over 300 pounds, and they start telling those guys. And that's how I ended up getting away from distance running and working with large humans. But that's been great because of that, I developed that skill, the physics behind manipulation. And now as a result, I teach manipulation to PTs and ATs. And without being able to do that, I wouldn't have had the skill set to master my craft.
For sure.
When you're looking at different athletes and you're comparing football players, not necessarily maybe the offensive lineman or maybe even throw them in there, Shawn, like when you're looking at NFL guys versus hockey guys, is there similarities to how the body in collision sports get banged up? Or would you say that football guys take a bigger beating on average, or hockey players? I always find that fascinating because yes, football is a collision sport. At the end of the day, it's only 16 games plus playoffs, or 17, I guess now, and playoffs. Where hockey, man, you're playing 82 games and then playoffs. It just seems like it's just, I don't know. To me, hockey, I would think you would get maybe a little bit more banged up, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, when I think about hockey, I think of one word: inhumane. It's inhumane. And I hate to say this, I hope the GMs and owners aren't listening to me if they're considering hiring me for their team, but it's like to think about your body doing that every other day and being prepared to be able to accept that onslaught, and then handling micro trauma and into macro trauma or injury and being able to play through that injury. In playoffs, everybody's hurt, especially finals. Nobody's not hurt in the finals, and they're freaking like they're just mentally fried too. So, you're working with a different type of being that doesn't have the ability to rest and recover like football. You talk to a football player and you tell them what a hockey schedule is, they can't even process that. They're blown away by that. And so when it comes down to injury, though, in hockey, you're dealing with a lot of hips, hamstring, adductor issues for obvious reasons, right? That's the prime mover. And then, you're dealing with some significant traumatic injuries when it comes down to football, right? So more traumatic injuries with football in comparison to hockey. Hockey is like, we're keeping people going for a long, long time. And for that season and into the playoffs. So a lot of it is, I hate to use the word maintenance care. It's more performance care. And you're helping these people perform and play at their optimal capabilities throughout 9 months. Right. And so football is a little bit of a different animal, bigger trauma, bigger bodies, harder to treat for sure. You don't get the success like you do with some of the hockey players, right? When I'm working on a linebacker's hamstring compared to an adductor on an NHL guy, I'm going to get better success quicker with an NHL guy. It's just leaner, heal faster for whatever reason. And I just see my success a bit better with NHLers.
Shawn, how much I'm always curious, like, obviously you go to schooling for this stuff and you learn and read books. How much would you say you learned in school versus like how much you learn after, just with experience in doing things? Like, what percentage do you have down in school once you get out and start doing this in the real life versus the percentage, if you have 100% right now, how much did you actually learn in school? Or is it just you're learning on the go, and as you start doing things and experimenting on guys, that's when you're really learning what to do?
a certificate that says you're probably not going to kill somebody, so feel free to go practice. Right? That's your license. It's like, all right, they're close enough not to be able to do that much harm on somebody. Now it's your job to go perform. And to be honest with you, not to take anything away from grad school. I mean, you got to go through it to get your certification. And I'm happy I did. There's other ways to be able to do what I do without going through grad school. And there's some people that just get certifications to be manual therapists. And there's some really good manual therapists that went that route. I'm glad I went to get my DC degree and be a sports chiropractor. So to be honest with you, everything that I've learned and everything I do right now is from postgraduate work and through trial and error. It's I'll call it 90% just to give my grad school some credit, but everything comes from learning as you're going and watching people get better as a result of your hands, and then also watching people not get better. And it hasn't been like this, that's for sure, in the last quarter century. So you clearly, just like everybody else, is cliche. You learn from your failures, and it's no different here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
For sure. And
what's funny about it, go back on this. I wish for the first 5 years I could go back and meet those people I treated for the first 5 years and refund them 100%.
I was going to ask, do you feel like you obviously have to trial and error someone right off the bat? Like the first guy that gets you, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm acting like I do.
So quick story. I would find my patients at farmer markets. I would go and set up a tent. And every Wednesday for 4 hours, I'd sit there and say hi to people so people would come to see you. And I graduated when I was young. I graduated from grad school at 24. So I was like trying to find patients at 25. I came out of school, started my own company right away. I was an independent contractor in somebody else's clinic. So I had to find my own patients. And the only way I could find patients was go out and talk to people outside. And one way I did it was I set up at a farmer market when I was 25 years old, and it worked. It worked, man. I would get 5 new patients every time I did it. And then I started practicing. But one of the funniest stories I have, I don't know how much time you have, but I sat my ass in front of a DMV once. This is my favorite story. But I started practicing in a predominantly Hispanic area called Chula Vista, just south of San Diego. This is where the Olympic Training Center was, but I had my private practice. The guy I was working with that owned the clinic's like, why don't you go set up at the DMV? I'm like, I'll do anything, whatever. So I brought a table and a spine, and he's like, just say mucho dolor aquí and press to the spine. And so I'm in the DMV line with like 20 people deep, just pointing to the low back saying mucho dolor aquí. And then I would just get their information, bring that information back and talk to the person that was bilingual in the office. And then they would call the people and get them scheduled. That was another way that I got patients. I know it sounds crazy, man, but that's what we had to do.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do.
That's basically like along the lines of just those Asian people that set up at a kiosk inside of a mall and say $30 for 90 minutes. No happy ending though. You know what I mean? That's
exactly right, man. And so every day it was like, but with the answer to the question, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to get the reps in, the practice to get to a point where I can start treating people, charging more, being more comfortable with myself and my skill set. Because, buddy, I mean, we all like sometimes struggle with imposter syndrome, but try getting out of school and using a manual skill with your body. Your body's a tool to try to fix another human being. And you physically got to put your hand on somebody. If somebody's got confidence the minute they put their hands on you. Right. And so it's like, you can't fake that. Like, and I tell my PT friends, I'm like, listen, if you're only teaching corrective exercise, you can fake corrective exercise through your voice, but you can't fake manual therapy through your hands because the patient's going to feel it. Yeah. Right. So you got to get the reps in.
That's always a big thing too. In the locker room back in the day when I was playing, is you'd always ask if you're going to go see a therapist, you're going to go see someone like you, Shawn. It's how are his hands, or how are her hands? And if they don't have those firm hands or those confident paws, you know what I mean? You could sniff it out, and the guy would be like, I don't know. Or you'd ask, about a really good guy, say, I don't know, Carm in Toronto. Oh yeah, hands of a priest. Like, he's got really good hands. You know what I mean? It's Kovalev-like hands, right? So that's always a big thing where, that guys know, and especially if they're going to go see someone or recommend someone to like yourself, you better have good paws.
Yeah, and you know what? You'll know when the client's going to know, especially a pro athlete's going to know in under 3 minutes. And then they're in a position of being like, Christ, I got to ride this one out, knowing that like this just isn't going to be my guy or girl. And so, like I said, it comes down to with those reps, but you got to also have belief in yourself and you got to get those reps in so you get away from that imposter syndrome. But that imposter syndrome never leaves, man. You never, the great therapists never think that they're great. They always think that they don't know enough. They feel like they're insecure because the next person knows more. And that's what drives great therapists to keep going. Like, and I think it really, the person that thinks that they know everything, that's when it's time to hang it up.
Yeah, no,
For sure.
Well, you're a gentleman and a scholar, Mr. Robek.
Oh, thank you.
You know, so hey, I wanted to ask you a big thing in the NFL now, and I don't think it's as big in pro hockey or the NHL circuit, but all these NFL guys, they're getting stem cell treatment. They're going down to the South Americas, the Latin America countries to get some of these different treatments through stem cell, and parlayed into maybe some peptide treatments as well. So these are, to my knowledge, not banned substances or not PEDs that fall under the category that would get you suspended for your sport, say the NFL or the NHL. But I haven't heard of a ton of hockey guys, maybe a few do the stem cells, but the peptides, like, are these things that they come with no repercussions? Are they things that you would encourage maybe even an everyday person to do if they had the scratch to pay for it?
Not peptides. If you're a professional athlete, you're not allowed to take peptides, and you can be tested for it. Stem cell regenerative medicine procedures, what you're using, we'll just call it regenerative medicine procedures. You're either using your own cells to heal tissue or you're borrowing cells from other people's birth tissue, whether it be placenta or umbilical cord, to regenerate tissue. And so whether it's like, you got to make a decision, are you going to use your cells, also called PRP, and make a cocktail out of that to help your tissues heal? That's totally fine to do. It's completely in the realm of appropriate for any league. Stem cell, same thing. You're allowed to help your tissues heal through regenerative medicine. You just have to make a judgment call on where you're getting it, what the product is, and what type of product do you want to use. There are products called stem cell products, which you got to get out of certain areas of birth tissue. And then you have other products that are more growth factor. And that would be like an amniotic matrix or whatnot. So not to go into too much of the medical terminology, but you got to ask yourself, do I want stem cell or do I want growth factor or do I want both? Now, the reason why people go down to like Latin America, down to Mexico or Colombia, is because at one point we weren't able to do what they were doing down there. And so now everybody thinks, I shouldn't say everybody, general statement, but a lot of people think you still have to go down there. And that is not true. There are a lot of amazing facilities that do regenerative medicine work throughout our entire country, including our office. And it's a matter of like what type of product we have and also what type of specialty service we offer. We're not here to, I refer out a good number of my regen clients because I want to make sure that it's under fluoroscopy and in a different area. Area is a bad word, but more specialized under a different practitioner in comparison to what we have to offer here. So we're good at doing shoulders and knees here, but I'm not going to do a spine here. And so to answer your question is that for an NFL guy or NHL guy, anybody in any professional league, as long as they're willing to throw out the cheddar to get it done, it's an amazing tool for healing. And so they have to make that investment, whether it's a team that makes the investment or them independently. But to answer your question, they're allowed to do it. It's just a matter of understanding how to do it and where to go for it.
Why are the peptides not legal for athletes to do in our professional sports here?
That's a great question. And the right now you understand that Ozempic, or that's the brand name, but Ozempic and all the weight loss peptides like semaglutide and trizepatide, that's a peptide. People don't quite realize that those are peptides. And to define a peptide for the listener, what it is, it's a small amount of amino acids linked together called a peptide. If it was more amino acids linked together, it'd be called a protein. And so it's just basically a small chain of amino acids that has a desired effect on the body in certain regions. And so you have weight loss proteins, weight loss peptides, whatever, libido, cognitive performance. But the ones you guys are looking for are the musculoskeletal ones that are going to repair tissue. And what they are saying is that it's not regulated enough right now for it to be a free-for-all for anybody to be able to use these formulations, because it's going to put somebody at an advantage or disadvantage. And so they just basically went full slate and said it's not legal and you're going to be tested for it. But I do believe down the road it's going to change.
So hypothetically speaking, me not playing anymore, and if I wanted to go full Tony Fauci and just start shooting stuff in my butt, BP 157 as a peptide, tesamorelin as a peptide. A lot of these enhance at least, hormonal growth and testosterone, not directly, but like you said, through the peptides and through the amino acids. Is this something like an everyday person could consider if you're, healthy enough, if you feel good, if you want to improve, say, strength or endurance, or just clean up your body in a holistic sense? Is this something that, it doesn't come with repercussions or a negative, kickback or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable going on record saying that I've never seen. There are no side effects of taking the peptide besides potentially having an injection site, an irritation at the injection site, or a small localized infection. Now, I will say that I'm speaking outside of my scope right now as a sports chiropractor, and this is something the medical community prescribes.
Right.
However, that being said, in our office, I would say 20% of our patients are on peptides, and predominantly in our office, BPC 157 or TB 500. If we want to go a little bit deeper dive on that, I refer out to somebody else that's in the medical community that does a very deep dive that also optimizes hormones and really works with the pituitary gland as well as the peptides. So the formulation is going to be consistent based on the labs that we're drawing and the changes that we're trying to make and the goals that we have. And so some people can go broad based and do your standardized BPC 157 or TB 500, potentially stack those two. Or you want to find a specialist and do a deeper dive. Like for you, you got your bell rung over in Helsinki, right?
Yep.
So it's like there are some good peptides out there that can help you with cognitive performance and recovering from TBI. And it's like to not have those tools in your tool belt to recover, like to me, outside of the your ability to afford it, is like irresponsible to not take care of yourself with the modern medicine that we have out there right now. It really does come down to the dollar, right? For us, it's going to cost about $300 a month just for one peptide. So, some people can afford it, some can't. It's unfortunate when people need it and they can't afford it. Certainly not covered by insurance yet.
Yeah. And is this something like, I don't know if you're comfortable saying this, but have you experimented with different peptides? To my knowledge, it takes a little bit of time to kind of come up with a cocktail or the specific peptide that you respond best to, is kind of my understanding.
Yeah. I play with a cocktail of them. There's no chance. I played rugby, football, and hockey throughout my life. And I've had enough fist fights with my twin brother that there's some damage that needs to be fixed, and there's some damage that's never going to be fixed. And so I'm in the state of a constant regenerative thought process. And if there is going to be a peptide coming out that's going to help some of the concussion symptoms or the TBIs from the past, and like I'm going to be all over it. And what's great about this technology is it's getting better and better and better. 2 years from now, like what we're talking about, we're going to be laughing at, because the tech is going through the roof and the formulations and the protocols, people are getting better and better at it. And sometimes it's a bit of a generalized prescription when you go into certain clinics, because it's like, okay, do your TB and BPC, and it's like that's standardized, but you can geek out on the science of this. But you always got to be taking a look at your blood work and making sure that when you're playing with your chemistry, you got the right doctor behind you, and you're looking at that blood work to make sure you're not going down a different path. So every body is different, and you got to make sure you're monitoring your blood work.
So hypothetically speaking, like how much should you be getting blood work done a year if you're, 35 years old? Is it once a year, twice a year?
Well, if you want to, for an athlete like yourself that was in the past and has had your injuries, you're looking at not just getting blood work to see, you're looking at your blood work to look at your hormones, and you're looking at a number of different variables. And we can go down a wormhole here, but it's not just about your testosterone score. There's a number of different variables you want to look at. And, sex hormone binding globulin, is that through the roof? If that's through the roof, it means all your receptors are bound out and you can't use your testosterone. So I don't care how high your testosterone is. So there's a lot of factors that are going into it. And you need specialists to look at these numbers to make sure you're just not injecting testosterone in your glute or, using pellets, which is a subcutaneous form of getting testosterone into your system. But at the same time, when you start to use pituitary releasing formulas or other peptides, that can have a direct impact on your hormones, and you got to see how those formulations interact with one another. And so to answer your question, you're doing at least twice a year if you're going to be dabbling, especially in the beginning. I just did blood work earlier today. So it's twice a year is a great answer for that.
Where would you go if you are an average citizen? You're not a high level athlete at the time. Where would you go if you do want this treatment? Is it hard to find? Can you find it pretty easy? Where
So
would I go?
yeah, great question, and a huge frustration. And what the FDA allows us to do is they allow us to perform the procedures because it's safe on humans, but they do not allow us to market it for fear that the wrong people are going to get this information and try to manipulate the wrong people and just really tap into somebody's emotional state. And then next, you're taking advantage of the geriatric population or whatnot. And I'm happy for that. I'm happy the FDA has those regulations for that, but it's really hurting people's understanding of where to go and where to get the good products. So it's really a word of mouth game. And if you do enough research and you talk to the right people in your community, you're going to find it. You guys have resources left and right. You guys got friends all over, in professional sports, so you could talk to two people and get the right guy. But my concern is it's the general blue collar worker that's struggling with low back pain, trying to help his family, and they're like just going down the Western medicine model of pills, injections, and surgeries, and not able to have these procedures available to them for not knowing where to go, and also the cost behind it. And my hope is that changes sometime. Because you can't just type in regenerative medicine and go down the street to your local regen superstore, right? And so it's you can find it if you do your work. It's word of mouth referral though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just resort to 6-pack of Miller Lights and a couple Percocets, and you got yourself a nice little Wednesday, right? So I just think there's just so much. I don't know. Like the more I dive into it, the less I figure I even know about it. But the peptide route and just stem cells, it's like fascinating to me just to kind of learn about it and talk to different people with results. Some people it's really helped significantly. Some people they're still trying to find their ways with it. So it's interesting. Like, is there a peptide out there right now that you could take that we didn't mention that would help with, because me and Ozu even chat about this last pod. Like a lot of people, they wake up and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're always, low energy or have, feel like they have just a low base per se when they wake up. And probably a lot of times it comes down to diet. What's your movement like, your workout patterns, and just, your overall lifestyle. And everyone's always looking for a cheat code of how to feel better without actually fixing those things first. But say someone that actually does do the work, say they have a fairly good diet, they work out a decent amount, but still feel like they're kind of lacking in that area. Is there something like a supplement that could help them out? I don't know.
Yeah,
I would just say fucking have a whiskey, buddy. Like toughen it out.
That's the thing, right? And so that's the thing is that the first thing you want to start off with, and not to be redundant, is get your blood work done, because if your hormones are off, there's nothing you're doing that's going to be able. I mean, I take that back, but if your hormones are out of balance, if I can use that word, or even balanced at a certain age, they're not serving you in a way that's going to be for growth and development. So you got to get that to a point where you're optimizing your body's ability to use their hormones, whether it be natural or through supplementation. Then you can start diving into peptides with, it's not BPC anymore. They basically, FDA took that off the market, but there's a different one that's exactly the same that people are using. And so then you're starting to dive into peptides for tissue repair. All right. So if you're going to push yourself in the gym, and Jordan, last time you were in the office, you came in here to use the assault bike and you sat there for you did 15-second intervals on the assault bike for 1 hour. There's basically flood damage from your sweat. And
I felt bad about that.
Which was incredible. That's what it's for. But for the love of God, that is high intensity interval training, well beyond what the human body was designed for. There should be products in your, when you're past an age, let's call it 35, for you to be able to supplement in a way that your tissues can recover better. And that's what peptides and hormone optimization does. Now, if you're going to injure yourself and you got to repair, let's say, a labrum of the shoulder or a rotator cuff, that's where your regenerative medicine injections like stem cells or growth factors come in, so you can help those macro tears and injuries heal. So you got to talk about the micro level of just trying to recover compared to the macro trauma, where you legitimately have a grade 2 tear that needs some support and help. I speak about this a lot on podcasts, and it's about cortisone. Is that the people will always go to cortisone first typically, and I'm sure you've been injected a number of times. What people need to realize is that that's a nice suggestion if you don't have any other options, and it does help you take the pain away, and it obviously kills all the bad and good inflammation. But what people don't realize is it basically shuts all the blood supply down in that region, and it shuts off the immune supply to that area. And if you have damage to a joint like your shoulder, do you want to shut down the immune function to that region? Your immune system's there to heal you. And so you're basically shutting it down. So what drives me nuts about the process, even though it helps a lot of people, is that you're shutting your body's natural ability down to heal. And so when we have the privilege of using modern medicine procedures like regenerative medicine and stem cell and peptides and hormone optimization, we're basically giving yourself like a power punch of healing to be able to keep going and moving forward compared to pulling yourself back. Even though you don't feel pain when you're on pain meds or cortisone, you're gently degenerating your body, right, compared to building it up. And so let's build it up. And that's where I get frustrated with the people that don't have the resources, don't have the opportunity to regenerate and get better. And they're in this degenerative cycle, the downward spiral. So hopefully that changes at some point.
Well, cortisol and toradol, or cortisone and toradol, that basically is just like the rebound girl after a divorce, right? It's going to hold you over for a little bit. Right. It's going to take away some of that healing that needs to happen initially. Maybe not healing, but just delay the inevitable of, okay, I'm dealing with some pain right now. Can we just put a little thumbtack on this and, try to make it better? So you're kind of just delaying the inevitable. But in hockey, it's like you got to get right back out there, and here's a shot, and this could hold you over for 2 or 3 months. And after that, we'll be right back on the table doing the same thing, and your contract's up after the year. So good luck out there. We're just going to pass go. But
the frustrating thing is that if people saw what that did long-term, like I've heard of people getting 6 injections into a shoulder. Some people might be listening to this being like, I've had 10. And what's crazy about it is I've had the privilege of doing one autopsy, and I've done countless cadaver studies. And so bone softens with cortisone, legitimately softens. And so it's like when you're injecting something and you're not told that it's actually weakening your tissue and demineralizing the bone and having these negative side effects on organ systems that are going to be long-term. I understand that if you're a multi-million-dollar athlete, you have a responsibility to get back on the ice, especially in the playoffs, but you also most oftentimes aren't being told what your future is going to look like or feel like. And it's just get injected and get out there. And what I'm excited about is the fact that there are different suggestions now. And then people and athletes are proactive enough to take their own money and pay for getting themselves better and not relying on the team. That's to me, I love when I see athletes like that be willing to support their own growth and development, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially even up till 7 or 8 years ago, it's like you could walk in the training room with a broken bone, and the trainer's just telling you ice and stim. Like, well, we'll put some stim on you. Here's a $4 machine that we bought over at Ace Hardware. Throw this on, and we got some ice. You'll be all right. But it's getting better within the team, and then obviously, I think guys are just getting way better at outsourcing to see people like yourself or different specialists. The one thing I love in your office that you've added is the red light bed, the arc wave red light bed. I don't know the entire science behind it, but if you could just touch on that a little bit. I don't know. I come out of that thing and I feel like I just got a speech from Jimmy Johnson back in the day at the U. Like, you know what I mean? Michael Irvin just held a bag of snow up to my nose and I'm ready to go. Like I'm running through a fucking wall. So touch on just the science of the red light bed. It's one of my favorites. I always go into your office late night. You probably see me on the camera. Swish is coming at 8 o'clock again. But I love getting on that bed. And I don't know, whatever reason, man, if my back is ever sore after tennis, I get on the bed for 20 minutes the next day. The inflammation and the pain is reduced by, I would say, at least 50%. Some days it doesn't even feel like my lower back was even in one hitting, for 2.5 hours on the tennis court. Yeah.
Then I want to reinforce, you got to be in a bed, man. If you want to have an impact from red light, it's not infrared saunas. It's not panels in your house. It's not the $25 thing you put over your wrist. You got to be in a bed. That light's got to be powerful. And you have to have a chief science officer building this thing, specifying the wavelengths and to target specific tissues. Certain light gets a certain depth, right? And so what's great about our bed is that you can program the bed to go to certain depth of tissue. You want to enhance your skin and collagen to look better? We got a setting for that. You want to get down to your joints? We got a setting for that. You want to get to your brain? Light goes through your skull. You can have an impact on the brain with certain wavelengths of light. And so what's exciting about it is that, clearly the sun heals. Clearly the sun has created everything that's out there in Earth. Unfortunately, the sun has UVA and UVB rays. And in large doses, that can be harmful for us humans. And so what we've done, thankfully, is that we've created a system and a light bed that gives you all the benefits of the wavelengths of light coming from the sun without the UVA and UVB rays. So you can put that in a pretty powerful setting, sit there for 15 minutes and dose your red blood cells, the tissues and tendons and ligaments that are inflamed, and just have whole body wellness in under 15 minutes. So for me, it's like, it's a no-brainer when you think about what the sun is actually creating and also how we can harness it into tools like we have right now. There isn't an athlete that comes in here that doesn't use that bed.
Yeah.
It's like, it's part of the protocol.
Oswald, have you ever been on one of these beds?
Where can I find one?
They're unbelievable.
Do I have enough coin in the bank to put one in my basement?
There you go.
Yeah, what are those things MSRP at? Like 30 grand probably, something like that? The nice ones?
Yeah, wait, if I had 30, if it was 30 grand, I'd have 3 of them in here. You're going to spend about 100 grand on a good bed.
Holy
minimum.
fuck.
Minimum.
How long is that lasting? Maintenance on it? Like, does it break down ever?
Well, no, but the technology is changing so much that if you buy a bed 3 years later, it's going to be a bit obsolete. You'll still have the benefits of it, but they have beds that are doing a lot of different things now, built-in PEMF, all sorts of other like variables along with the red light. So the tech is changing, but light's light. So it's just a matter of how powerful and what wavelength we're going to be absorbing. But yeah, man, when mine's obsolete, happy to ship that to Minnesota for you.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it in.
It is unreal. I think a couple of guys in the league are starting to have them. I'm not going to name any names, but I know a couple of guys in hockey that have them, and it's just like, especially in season. Oswald, I'm telling you, man, you get on this thing, and I don't know what it is. I try to do it at least once a week, maybe twice if I'm here in AZ. I don't know what it is, but my lower back when I come off that thing the next day, it's like it's as good as new. And I battled that my whole career ever since we were doing hand cleans at the age of 18. Right. So it's just, I don't know.
I hear these stories, people coming in, and it's like and it's so hard to explain how light can heal. Yeah. And sometimes it's just blind faith, but the subjective reporting of what people are feeling after they get out, to me, sometimes is shocking. And so, I'm the owner of the bed, and for me to hear some of the benefits that people are getting from it is, and you're not going to have any side effects here. The only side effect of light is that you can overdose on light if you're not used to it, and you might feel tired, nauseous, a little headachy for a couple hours. But the benefits, it's like peptides. The benefits so far outweigh any of the negatives because there really aren't any negatives. That it's like, why aren't we doing this? So these are some really good hacks, really good biohacks for you to optimize your body and keep it performing the way you want it to.
John, I'm going to dumb things down a little bit because I'm an office guy now. I know there's other office guys out there listening. What would you, as a chiropractor, just very simple, might be a dumb question, but what is something I should be doing every day or weekly to keep my body intact, up to speed? Is it the red light bed? Is it just a couple simple movements every day? Like, what would you suggest for a guy who's basically just sitting in the office every day, working out for 60 minutes after work or before work? And that's about the extent of it.
Yeah. Jordan probably knows the answer to this, but I'm going to say it anyways, that there's a system out there where you can put your body through certain movements. The system's called ELDOA, ELDOA. Pretty much every NHLer out there that cares about his body's doing it and doing it religiously. And if you're going to do one thing to try to get your body better outside of read my book and take my course, is going to be ELDOA exercises. And so I have a book coming out that's basically about how to fix your back and all the protocols I use to fix the back. And I have a course coming out that's how to fix your back in 30 days, which talks about all these things that are going to be put in specific alignment to make sure that you're checking the boxes appropriately. But if I had to take one thing from my book, it would be making sure everybody was doing an ELDOA exercise. So if you just go to YouTube and type in ELDOA lower back, that's going to cover all bases and help you with your posture as well. That'd be my go-to for you guys for sure.
Got it. I love that. So you're saying if I read your book and I take your course, I should never actually have to see you in person, because if I'm doing it to a T, I'll be feeling great. Probably.
That would be arguably Arguably, yes, because there are some corrective exercises and work you can do on your own to fix yourself. The challenge when it comes down to working with me in person is that oftentimes there has to be a correction that has to take place before you can be independent and taking care of yourself, right? And so that's where it's tough to write a book about how to fix your back. But there are a ton of people out there that are struggling in back pain, doing manual labor all day long. And there are some really simple tools. And if they invest in themselves for 30 days, I promise you, I believe it's about 70% of people that read that book and take that course will get themselves better without any other intervention. But some people that are going to need the manual therapist and hands-on work and potentially regenerative medicine procedures as well. So.
Got it.
Shawn, talk about your book, talk about your course. When is the book coming out? Respectfully, you're a guy out of Chippewa Street, out of Buffalo. I didn't know you could formulate sentences. I know you can talk, but I didn't know you could write. So that's always good. You learn something new every day about your friends. But talk about the book, brother. When's it coming out? When can I get my copy and where do I buy it?
Buddy, if my high school English teacher from Kenmore East heard that I wrote a book.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
So the fact that I finished this book is like that to me is definitely something I'm proud of. It took a year, but it's what was the question? Basically, how did I get there and why did I do
when's the book coming out? Where can we buy it? And
it's all things Shawn Robek is going to be on the website and all the handles and everything is coming out end of September. And it's really developed around. I created this book to help not the elite athlete, it's for the blue collar worker that's struggling, that wants to find an answer, that knows it can be better than they currently are, but they're struggling and they're trying to take care of their family and they just can't do the things they love or be the person they know that they should be. And so it gives people a tool to understand why they're struggling, why they're not getting better, and the action steps to get them to feel better. And then I created a course so the people that really want to be proactive can go day by day online and do all the things they need to do every single day to check the box so they become independent and taking care of themselves. And clearly it comes with a workbook so they can actually keep track of themselves and be proud of their accomplishments. So late September, it's coming out. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. I'm really excited about it.
Is it going to be available on Amazon, just your website, or where?
It'll be on Amazon. There'll be an Audible version of it as well for the people like myself that want to listen and learn while I drive. But the work comes into it's going to be on an online portal, and these people will log in every day, spend about 10 minutes learning. So it's literally a 10 to 15 minute commitment, 30 days to learn how to fix your back. Not just to get you out of acute pain, but for a lifetime. But what's great about it is it goes through 3 pillars. It's structural performance, meaning how to fix your body structurally, mental performance, which is your mind game to make sure you put your head in the right place to get yourself in a setting where you're committed to fixing yourself, along with internal performance. So you fix yourself from inside as well. So we're playing the structural game, the internal game, and the mental game all put together. And this is where everybody's missing out. This is where providers fail. They don't put those 3 pillars together and they're just focusing on like structural stuff, but they're forgetting about the gut, the liver, the internal chemistry. And so you're getting 50% of the correction done. It's like the person that just does diet and exercise to lose weight. We know what that's like. It's this roller coaster ride. And typically they're always kind of slowly going down. So there's a bunch of pillars in the book to make sure people don't get confused and they can stay on track. And it's very organized in a way that it's common sense, if you will, and we definitely break it down so it's layman terms.
Why do you think a lot of these doctors and people in the medical industry only focus on one of these pillars? Is it just because they're lazy? They're kind of just collecting a paycheck? Because I've dealt with doctors in my day, and I know that some of them, don't think about that stuff, like the mental stuff and the body chemistry. Why is that? Do they not teach that in school, or is this just these people that's just become doctors to just collect a paycheck because it's a well-paying job?
So I'm a chiropractor, right? So that there's a lot of history with chiropractic. There's some stereotypes with chiropractic, right? So for me to be able to talk about mental performance, internal performance, corrective exercises. Now I'm diving in the PT world, plus manual therapy. Some people are like, hey man, just stay in your lane. I'm like, I'm not staying in my lane. There's way more to life than cracking backs and rubbing muscle. And there's way more to fixing a body than just cracking backs and rubbing muscle. Like, I got to teach people highly intentional corrective exercise. I got to teach you how to fix your gut and your liver. I got to teach you how to eat well. And I got to teach you how to get your brain well so you can be well forever. And so for me, I had to bypass all the people telling me to stay in my lane and just keep learning and going through postgraduate work and pushing myself. But also, to be honest with you, it's how I fix myself. It's how I fix my low back. It's how I fix my neck. I've had 2 horrible spinal injuries, neck and low back. One almost left me in a wheelchair, and the other one left me with paralysis in my chest for 8 months. And so that's how I got myself better. And after doing this, I'm like, there's so many people out there suffering. I can't just do one-to-one meetings or one-to-one patient care. I got to hit the masses. And the way to hit the masses is writing a book, creating a course, and making sure people are held accountable. And so that's why I created it. That's how I got myself better. And I'm really excited for people to realize that they just don't have to get rubbed and tugged and like cracked, whatever. And no, realize that there's other protocols that go along with that process. So you make 100% correction for a lifetime. It's not an event, man. Getting better is not an event. It's a lifestyle. And 100%. So that's what we preach. But it's time, man. People need to learn this stuff. It's well overdue. And to answer your question, these general practitioners, it's too much, man. It's just too much on their plate for them to do all this stuff. That's why I leave it to the chiros like me to try to get this shit done.
For sure.
Chiros and a rub and tug. That's all you need, right?
That's right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, you got anyone who wrote your foreword for your book? You looking for a guy? I could write a little foreword, stretch your body, stretch your career.
It's so funny that you say that. I got to harass because it's coming out, and that's the one thing that's lacking right now. But Sue Falzoni is writing my foreword. She's the legendary physical therapist, probably most well-known throughout the world, if not, country, if not world. She's the first female head athletic trainer for any professional sports organization. She got started with the Dodgers, and now she's just known throughout every professional sports organization, or I should say league. And so she's going to write the foreword because she's seen the progress we've made with clients, people she's referred to us. She sees the passion and the commitment we have here in our office and what we do with our clients to get them better. And so she's going to write that so she can reinforce the importance behind putting those 3 pillars together.
I like it. Lastly, for me, now, your father-in-law, John Cook, former PGA Tour player, senior tour player, now works on the Golf Channel as a commentator. So I want to ask you, we've played probably 2 times with Cookie. Me and you will go out there and shoot anywhere from 88 to 108, and Cookie will fire a smooth 65, half buzzed. So I wanted to ask you, how's the golf game been? Have you been out there with Cookie? And we got to get out there soon because that's just a real treat watching him just dance around a golf course.
It's unbelievable, man. And the last time we went was with your brother Nick, and they both were under par, and then we're shooting 90, 99 if we're lucky. So man, I'd love to get back out there with you, but it's such a privilege to be a part of that family and to be John's son-in-law and his wife Jan's son-in-law. It's a very unique family, very patient, very generous, very giving, and that's one thing I think about John is that the patience behind this man, and it must be just what he's been up against in life and how he handles the challenges and the struggles of golf. But to watch how he handles himself both professionally and personally has been something that I've learned a lot from him throughout the 23 years that I've been in the family. So when you see him on the course and he's just swinging, and it doesn't even look like he's swinging, man, it's like kind of interesting because that's who he is on the inside, and that's how he handles his personal life well. So happy to call him my father-in-law, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's insane how smooth he is, Azo. He'll be like 3 under on the front 9, and he'll pull up to 10 and just hit a driver off the deck like a little peeler cut just cuz. And he'll put it like 270 right down the cock. You're like, all right, Cookie, you didn't want to tee that one up. He's like, nah, I didn't want to go back to the cart. I'm like, all right, sounds good. The cart literally a foot away, but
how fun would that be to be him?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
We were actually talking about you a couple of days ago, so we got to get back out there.
Yeah, for sure. We got to get out there with her. Well, we need to play like the talking stick or some absolute goat farm where we can just spray it around. And because last time we were at Troon, and that's a target board. I mean, it's just a dartboard out there. Target golf. That's not our game.
No,
that's not our game.
Talking stick was made for us. Troon, all these other places, boulders. We don't belong out there.
No, I need to be able to hit a block cut 260 and 150 yards right and play it like 3 holes over and still make a par. Because if I can find my nugget, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I got the best flat stick in the valley. Like I'm gonna be fine.
You do.
So yeah. This has been awesome, bro. Appreciate you coming on. Obviously, friend of the show over here at Live and 5. So I appreciate you popping on, and we'll have to do it again. But the book is again mid-September. People, can they find it on Amazon, or again, where do we go to get this thing? Just plug it one more time.
Yeah, Amazon. Just go to All Things Shawn Robek, and then you will find where to find it. And obviously, my company name is Fix Medical Group. So if you're looking for therapy anywhere in Scottsdale or San Diego, my partner Patrick Cucarola owns 2 locations in San Diego. If you're looking for therapy and you're looking for the care that we offer, find us on fixmedicalgroup.com.
Yeah, and these are, I mean, Fix Medical is, a hub for NHL players down here. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, NFL players, elite level athletes, and just an overall good place when you go in there. I like going in there and just chirping the old robot, or getting on the assault bike and just putting a puddle all over it. You look at me, you're like, Jesus Christ, what do you want me to do? I'm begging myself over here, so I'm hanging on by a goddamn thread. So I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome, man. We'll talk soon.
Yep, talk soon. Folks, that was Shawn Robek, friend of the show over here with Azo and 93.1. Thanks for listening.